understanding that, we need to know how we can display center. How we can display center. Because this is very common concept. So we can design any content and display in the center. For that, we need to learn some basic attributes. So what are the basic attributes and how they can display center? So let's see. Generally, to display any content in the center, so we have to use the options like this. Let's create one toolbar, or I will add a design here. I am creating some toolbar. So like toolbar, or say login .html. Let's create login screen. Doc type HTML, and head. So title. So login. Generally, not only login. So we keep banners, advertisements also. So we need to display them, and we need to configure them. Right. So here in the body section, keep a div and class as container. In that we will keep a div. In that we have a data list. So data term. So username, data definition. So input type is equal to text, and another data term, password, and a data definition, input type is equal to password, and we have a button, and that is login. Initially, it looks like this. So the content is displayed in this way. So that means the content that you have designed. For this class, I will give as login. And for login class, so I am writing the style. The style for login is in the login class dot login. Here we need to specify the options like border is 2 pixel, solid, some dark CM. And we have padding as 20 pixel. Okay. And you can see the output in this way. And width is equal to some 300 pixel. So that is the width of that login. Border radius is used for curved corners. That means I will say 30 pixel, and you can see corner will be curved like this. We are displaying curved corners, like that is border. How we can display that, right? Next, important after defining this. So in the curved here. So what we need to do is we need to keep this on the center of page. Suppose I say 20 pixels. Okay. We need to keep on center page. Actually, to display in the center page, specify that in the center page, we need to use the container effects. For the container, I am using dot container. In the container, we have a login. In the container, I am writing display as flex. It is flexible display. After that, justify content center. I written as justify content center, it will be center. Display flex and justify center. The container height, suppose it is 500 pixel, then it will display like this. That means to the container, so it will display like this. Actually, the height of login also, we will use height as suppose 200 pixel. Height of login will be like this. It will be displayed like this. Now, suppose I will change this height. This height, container height, I am giving as 300 pixels. Then it will be like this. We are giving 200 or 300, and we are displaying like this here. We are configuring that here, right? Yeah. Right. So this is keeping the center, but see, vertical center depends on how much content you are having actually. That means currently in the page, we don't have anything else. So horizontally center it came. Actually, people also use align items, also center. Align items center will keep like this. For that, suppose container height is 400 pixel, then it will come like this. So it is 500 pixel, then it will be centered like this. That means in the container where you have defined, justify content center will be horizontal. Align items center will keep vertical. So align items center. So that is vertical alignment. You are configuring the vertical alignment. And justify content is horizontal alignment. You are configuring the horizontal and vertical alignments. So then it keeps your content correctly on the center. You can display that on the center. So whenever you are designing any content, keeping that in the center is very important. For that, we have to write display as flexible, justify content center, horizontal, align items center, vertical. But generally, if you don't define height of container, then it will not come center vertically. Why? Because there is no other content. Then it thinks that your body is ending after login. That's the reason we have to define the height. Then it will be centered. Generally, the alignment of content depends on the width and height of your page and the containers that you are configuring. So it keeps correctly centered. Now, here we want to put some background colors. Suppose for the body, I am using background color. Background image, I am using background image. URL, some / assets, some shoe.jpg. It keeps the background image. And I will keep here, so background repeat. Background repeat, no repeat. And background position. So background position. Background position. Background position, center, center. It will keep like this. And I want that login with a background color. Background color. Background color, RGBA. We already learned RGBA. Red, green, blue, and alpha. And here I am defining some color. Some 230 and 230 and 100. And alpha I will give as 0.7. some 6 alpha. That means it will get a transparent color and it will display like this. You can change the transparency 0.8, then it will be like this. So we are keeping some content in the center of the screen. Actually, if there is more information, so we can arrange anywhere. We can configure and arrange sticky position. If there is more content to scroll, if we have a lot of other information to scroll, then we can change the position to sticky. Already we learned how to handle a sticky position. We can define that sticky position and use the sticky position. Right. So generally, this is very regular option, how you can keep the content in the center screen. So this is not just login screen. This is one example. I will give you this example into the classroom. So into the classroom, I will upload this example. So let's go and upload this example. Yeah. So this is center screen. And here I'm adding this file that I designed just now. That is display style. So full stack. Okay. And in the public, this is the image. So the page that we designed is login. So that is the login screen. Yeah, one more we will design here and we will see. Actually, many times we need like a toolbar. Many times we need to design like a toolbar and keep on the center screen. The same concept and the same effect we have to use for toolbar also. So that means you see the websites usually. Yes, I hope we have seen the previous website one. And in that you can see by default, toolbar will come towards, yeah. So I will add here inoxmovies.com. You see the toolbar is here. The toolbar is here. You can see the toolbar at the center screen here. So this is the toolbar. You have options like all these: select movie, select cinema. So select movie, select cinema, all these. So this is center screen. So that means you can keep the content on the center screen and display. Anything you can design in this way. So actually, these are designed with the Bootstrap also. Later, I will show you Bootstrap. In the Bootstrap, we actually can design the contents so easily without using much, without writing much effects. But you should know the traditional approach. How do we write? For the toolbar that you have seen now, we can use the combination of all the options. So like, because how to design such toolbar, let's create one toolbar and see. So let's create one toolbar here. So what are the basic rules? One more time, observe. Suppose toolbar.html. So doc type HTML, HTML head, title, and the toolbar. In the body section, we are designing a div, and this is the class container. And inside that, I will have a div, so class as toolbar. Okay, in this toolbar, so we are designing a div. So these are all divs. In this div, we have a select. And in the select, you can have an option like select city, okay. There is another div, and in that we have another select and option. select option here. So select movie. Select movie. So another div. So we have another select with an option that is select time. So select date. So similarly, option, another div. We have select and option as a select show time. Say show time. Okay, show time. Okay, and one more div here. So we have a button. So book ticket. Okay. So now usually this will display in this way. Everything is present side by side. Everything is present side by side like this. Now what I will do here is let's go to the styles. So go to the style. In the style toolbar is the class. In the toolbar class, I am configuring a div. Means in the toolbar we have divs. And for the divs, we will keep display as inline. So you can see they will be inline like this. They will be inline like this. So they are side by side. For example, so for the container, so we are using display as flex and justify content center. Align items also center. And it will keep like this. And for container height, we define as 500 pixels. Then it will be vertically centered. Now, so it's your wish how you want to configure. For example, select, wherever select is there, for all the select width is some 200 pixel. And all select will be 200 pixel. And all select height will be, suppose 40 pixel. All select height will be 40 pixel. So select elements will be that. So I said some 25 pixel. So it will display 25 pixel. And here, so for button also, so we need to define. So select and button. That means I will put a comma and button. So for select and button, we are displaying the same height and width. So that means it is displayed in this way. We can keep a proper space between them also. So what you can do is here, we can use the option where you have mentioned the select div, display inline, and margin right some 20 pixel. The right margin will be adjusted. Some space will come between them. So suppose I want to define 15 pixel. So some space will come between them. And the toolbar, so I will write a class here, dot toolbar. So background color as some black, or say color as white. You can give anything. So it will be like this. And for selects and all these, so we cannot define. So for select and button, all are same actually. So the container, the toolbar we defined, and the toolbar div we defined some background color as black and color as white. So that means the divs will be displayed in this way. We can put select and buttons also. For example, we see select separately, background color as some black like this. That means select background color will be black. And here we defined color as white. So that means the text will be white. So you can remove for the divs that you have defined. So I don't want for the div, I can remove for the div. So I can remove for the div, and div is not having that. You can remove for the container also. That means background color for the toolbar. So that means entire toolbar background color I am removing, and you can keep only for that select your requirement according to how you want to display. For the toolbar, you can keep the toolbar like a bordered. So dot toolbar, we say border as 2 pixel and a solid. And you see toolbar have a border, and we will put padding as some 10 pixel. Then some space will come. Some space will be defined. And we can put border radius as 10 pixel. So border radius will be there. You can define this and button your style now. So for button, how you want the appearance. So here button, so background color. So what is the color? Tomato, that is the background color. And color as white. So that is the button appearance. We can keep that. This is how generally we can create and we can configure. You can do such effects in a more better way by writing less logic. So, and by adding more options with the concept called Bootstrap. With the help of Bootstrap, you can do it more better. You can configure and you can display and define it more better way. So that is generally, so aligning the items and configuring the items. So this is how you specify the contents and display the contents. In majority of the situations, these kind of appearances are very much required. In the background, there can be some photo banners, something like usually websites have them. So for example, any movie related banners are there. So it can have background. Suppose some Inox movies you see in the backgrounds. You can use these backgrounds. So background images, you can keep them. You can keep such sliding banners. We call them as carousels. So such carousels you will see in a concept of Bootstrap, right? So you can keep that on the carousel. You can keep that on different backgrounds. So that's depending on your requirement. For example, suppose I will copy this. So we captured or copy such images and we can keep in the background. So I will Google here, just image search, and here movie theater background, something like this, movie theater background, something like this. That means according to our design, what we created and what we configured. And suppose we are taking some content onto that and display. Suppose cinema background concept movie here. This is the image. I will save this image in our project folder. So movie background. Okay, let's save in our project. So full stack 4 p.m. In assets, movie background. I'm saving that movie background. Okay, I want to use that. So movie background. Then usually, so here we can put for the body section or for the container. So because for the container, you are configuring everything. So this container can have a background image. So the background image URL, so it will come from assets and movie background JPG. And it will keep the background image like this. And of course, now what you can do is the toolbar. So the toolbar that you are having, so it can have background color. So background color as some white, because it should dominate what you have kept in the background. It will be like this. You can change the background of your general content also. Now this is the drop down. This is the drop down and this is the background you are having. Actually, so we have the options to keep the backgrounds and display the backgrounds. So in a transparent way, but not for the background. So later I will show you some more effects. So generally, when you are configuring the backgrounds, actually, there will be an option called opacity. Opacity. So from 0 to 1, you can configure. If I give opacity 4, then you see transparency will increase for that container. You can change the transparency. So in that case, what we do is we have to change the position of the toolbar. That means we remove the toolbar from the container and keep outside the container. So bring back that and display. Such techniques I will tell you in the next level of examples, we will see them. So opacity keeps transparency. Opacity keeps transparency. So that will be easy for watching the contents in the background and foreground and displaying them. But this is general example how you can keep the content in center. So three options are very important. To keep center, display must be flex and justify content should be center. Align items must be centered. Align items must be centered. And make sure that your container is having height. Container is having height. If container is not having height, then you will not see the vertical alignment. It depends. Alignment depends on the container. So this is generally how you design the toolbars. You configure the toolbars or login screen that I have showed you. I hope it's easy to understand. Everyone understood? So here we have used two important options. So one is display inline. Display inline to keep every content one beside another. And we have used the option, so display contents justifying to center vertically and horizontal. Display flex, we have used that. So this is another example. That is another example, right? So how we can create a toolbar and configure the toolbar. This is another example. So this is center screen, how you can keep your content on center screen. These are the examples. So it is very important. Designing such content is very important. Several websites, you will see such information very regularly. Next, after understanding how to keep the content in the center and configure the positions and all, now we need to understand the CSS text effects. How to configure and define the text effects. We need to understand the CSS text effects. So displaying text, formatting text, and displaying text. That's what we need to see. So let's check that. What are the text effects and how do we configure? So we learned positions. We learned about icons like toolbars and others. And now we need to use another important text effects. Text effects allows you to easily format the text. So text We will see mostly while working with the text, how you can define and configure. So generally, while working with the text effects, first option is text have directions are present. But these days we don't use much directions. We prefer using 2D and 3D effects. So CSS 2D and 3D are very much used instead of using the text directions. We don't prefer text directions because some browsers don't support them actually. That is the reason. So better use that with the help of CSS 2D and 3D. But I will tell you what we have actually. We have an option called horizontal. That means actually we can use writing mode. We can use writing mode. Writing mode you can define as horizontal, 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 top to bottom, TB. You can write vertical, vertical, right to left, and vertical, left to right. These are the text directions. That's how we need to configure the text directions. So text directions are defined and configured by using this. So text directions are configured with writing mode actually. So top to bottom, left, right to left, such options we have to write. So let's see how these text directions are used. Let's create another page now. So let's create another page. Add a new file here, okay. And we write as text effects.html, okay. Let's design doc type HTML head and and title, and here we are defining. So title as something like as text effects, okay. And in the body section we are configuring. In the body section we are configuring a div class as container, and we are defining. One option is like div with class as box horizontal, okay, box and horizontal. These are the options we define. I put a heading, some CSS tutorial, and here I written some paragraph. So paragraph something about CSS. So paragraph close. So this is basic design actually. And that's the text. And now let's go to the style. In the style, I am defining container. Container is the class. Display container as flex. We have flex. Next, so we have a box. For box, I defined border as 2 pixel. Border as 2 pixel, solid, dark cyan. Something like this. And width as some 300 pixels. Some padding as 10 pixels. 10 pixels. So these are the options defined, and it looks like this, okay. Now for horizontal, I'm adding a class. So horizontal. So that is horizontal class. I will use writing mode. So that means we have an option writing mode. We have horizontal. So horizontal, top to bottom. horizontal top to bottom, it will keep the content like this. That means here actually it will keep the spacing top to bottom. So depending on height, you are adjusting. So box, here we have the box, and the box have a height as 200 pixel. So box height 200 pixel. Now that is top to bottom, it will be top. So this type of alignment is used for different language styles actually. So like Chinese, Japanese, like such languages, the right top to bottom orientation will be. By default, it is top to bottom orientation. Horizontally top to bottom, that's how we write. Suppose I written vertically right to left. Suppose I changed this to vertical right to left or left to right vertically. It will be like this. Right to left. By default, it is horizontal. We can write like this. So if I write here left to right, and it will be like this, left to right. It will not rotate it. It is just changed from left to right. So you have the options like vertical right to left or left to right. You cannot have 40 degrees, 60 degrees, 25 degrees like that rotating. That also you can do. But that is done with general. That is done with general CSS 2D and 3D effects. By using CSS 2D, 3D effects, we can control that. That's the reason this is not recommended anymore. So as a CSS developer, we don't much prefer writing modes. Later in 2D, you will learn 2D, 3D effects. You will learn how to rotate by any degree. Any specific angle you can rotate. But just one important option you need to understand. That's the reason I given. But we most prefer with 2D and 3D, not with our writing modes. Don't use these writing modes because these days now we have browser compatibility issues. Some browsers don't support the writing modes. CSS have some problems with browsers also. I will show you in 2D, 3D how to write for different browsers. Plugins will be there. We will learn about it. So in the text effects, this is one option. Text direction. Another one is we have overflow options. So when you are displaying text, overflow is important. Overflow we have hidden. Overflow we have scroll. Overflow we have auto. Overflow, hidden, scroll, auto, these are very common. Already in previous several examples we discussed also. But some people who came from the batches, other batches into this CSS concept, who joined us only for CSS onwards. So for them, it will be a new one because they haven't seen that. Because actually, in our regular HTML class, we started using CSS along with HTML in various occasions. That's the reason our HTML people are already familiar of certain options of CSS. They worked and designed several examples. People who joined this from CSS onwards, for those people, one more time I am explaining that point, how actually these can be used. One more option I will show you where they are used. With this example here, suppose see, overflow is very regular important option. And I will show you most commonly asked point here. Suppose you have checkboxes. So you have checkboxes. Checkbox will be there. So we are designing a lot of checkboxes, means checkboxes to select multiple options. We have a drop down. We have a list box. in list box, in drop down, user can select only one. List box, user can select more than one, but user have to use control key, shift keys for selection. They have to use the control and shift keys for the selection. Now, what we can do here is when we are designing, in many UI related interviews for freshers, they ask how to design a checkbox list. That means a list of checkboxes. Actually, there is no checkbox list. We have to design it manually. There is no checkbox list. We have to design it manually. So we need to use CSS and design. Suppose, see, I will add a new file here. One more is checkbox list.html. And here I am designing doc type HTML head and title. And here we are defining checkbox list, okay? And design. So we will create a body section. And in that, we will put a heading, or we will put a field set with a legend saying that select courses. And in that, we have an unordered list. So list item, in that we have input type is equal to checkbox. And here we say some Java like that. Similarly, so several